so glad you're here. We're in a church with many, many, many beliefs, and they all boil down to these four. The four beliefs are these. Number one is that God is all there is. There's no oppositional to that power. There's no external evil. There's no external devil. Now, you and I know there's plenty evil, plenty of devilishness in the world, but we believe it starts and stops right here in the mind of human beings. The second belief that we have is that all thought is creative and influential. And as a result of that, we're thoughtful what kind of thinking that we do around here. We don't beat ourselves up. We're not a shaming tribe. We're not a blaming tribe. If we make a mistake, we just put in a new thought and keep moving on. We don't stop. We just keep moving on with a new thought. The third belief that we have is that everything in our experience is either a call for love or an expression of love, no exceptions. And the last belief that we have that we hold on to with all of our heart, all of our mind, and all of our soul is that you are whole, perfect, and complete just as you are right this second. There may be some behaviors you want to let go of, some attitudes you want to let go of, some ways of thinking you want to let go of, but at your essence, you are whole, perfect, and complete, and we're so glad you're here. So, in addition to welcoming all of you here today, we want to issue a special welcome to those people who are here with us on their birthday. So if your birthday is in the month of, where are we? May. If your birthday is in the month of May, no audio. No audio at all. Well, we're filming it in another camera also for later, so we're not going to hold up. We're just going to keep going on for now. And we want to sing happy birthday to all of you who are having a birthday today. So, staff. Acknowledge those people who are having a recovery birthday today. So if this is your recovery from any addiction birthday, we want to sing happy birthday to you as well. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy You're all here. Oh, looks like we might be back on. I see the blue light. So what you missed was happy birthday. So if you missed your happy birthday song and it's your birthday, either your belly button birthday or your recovery birthday, we want to say how grateful you are at being a part of this church. Oh, the red light went back on. So we'll just keep going and know that you will be on YouTube after a while with the whole service. All right, let us fill up the rest of these seats with beams of light that are in our heart this day for whatever reason. Maybe they're in your heart today because you know that all of the first responders need our prayers and they're in your heart. Or maybe there's an individual in your heart who needs prayer today. So would you just speak their name aloud as I light this memory candle? I light this candle in their name and in the name of peace everywhere. And now it's time to anchor ourselves in prayer. So as I sound my bowl 3 times, I invite you to take the tone of this bowl into that place where you know and you are whole, perfect, and complete.
Need to be still. I need to be still.
that, I mean, the other camera's in.
And
I don't know if we want to keep that down yet,
love me.
Holy stillness,
Yeah.
divine wonder, universal truth.
It's still in there, but
There is a presence and a power that is in all things. Every single thing is infused with this power and presence that is connected to and from and as the source of all creation. This source is in every blade of grass, in the beauty of every note, in the heart and soul of every being, in this congregation, in this community, in this world, and everywhere. This presence and power and peace and love and perfection that is the truth of all things resides at the very heart and soul of who I am. It resides in the heart and soul of every divine, wonderful, beautiful person. We are connected to this. We are always connected to this. And so I just know that divine right action is here now. That all that we need, all that we need is with us right now. The wisdom of the universe, the heart of the divine, the beauty of a sunrise, the joy of the first buds in the spring. This is God in all, as all, through all. And I give thanks for this. I give thanks for this knowing. I give thanks for this moment of conscious awareness of connection to all, to the source of all creation. I give thanks. I give thanks. And I release my word. I let go of any expectation. I let go of anything that I think should be one way, could be, has to. I let go. I let go. I let go. For I know that God is on the job. So I turn this over to the light and law. And so it is. Good morning. My name is Dale Covey, and I am a licensed practitioner here. And I am going to read this through once, and then I will ask you to read it through me again. Read it with me again. Today I see myself for who I really am. Bright, compassionate, funny, and stunning to look at. Today I see myself for who I really am. Bright, compassionate, funny, and stunning to look at. And so it is.
this morning's spiritual reading. Today's sacred reading is from Ernest Holmes. Love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. It is written that God is love, and that we are God's expressed image, the image of the eternal being. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates the emotion, renews the soul, and proclaims the spirit. Only love knows love, and love only knows love. God is love, and love is God, and you are God's love. And so it is.
lucky are we? How lucky are we to have Lakeisha Munday in the house? Excuse me, Lakeisha, I don't want to get too close. That was a little closer than 6 feet, but yes. And the CSA house band and the fabulous praise team. We're just a lucky church. Unfortunately, you're probably not seeing this on live right now. You're going to be seeing it a little later this afternoon when Rosie puts it on YouTube, and we'll get the word out where we are. We've got most of the morning service on this camera, so we'll just keep going. The spiritual truth that let's get ready. We're not ready. I'm not ready. I'm like running around, what happened? What are we doing? Put your hand over your eyes. Open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today. Then if you repeat after me, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today. And then if you just cross your arms and extend out your arms, I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
My heart.
The spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that you are a divine emanation of the One. You are a divine emanation of the One, and so is everybody else. You know, oftentimes when I always start my sermons with a spiritual principle or spiritual truth, because I want to anchor myself. It's not so much for you as it is for myself, so that I don't get too far afield of what it is that I want to say. But like I say frequently, don't reduce this spiritual principle to a spiritual soundbite. It's not what it is. It's a time for us to contemplate, what does it really mean that we are all divine emanations of the One? You know, a spiritual truth is that principle that cannot be changed. It is the same in the beginning of time. It will be the same at the end of time. You don't get a chance to edit it. You don't get a chance to tweak it. You don't get a chance to pick and choose which are good for you and which aren't. They're just always true all of the time. Just like gravity. If you get up on the roof, it doesn't matter what color you are, where you live, what your job is, what kind of fancy car you drive, or if you drive an old rickety mess, get up on the top of this roof, jump off, you're going to go splat. It's the same principle with a spiritual truth. It is true all of the time for everybody. And with this particular spiritual truth, this spiritual truth that says you are a divine emanation of the One, and so is everybody else, with that particular truth, what we want to know is that it will set us free. It's the one truth that can set us free. It's the one truth that if we all know it and begin to embody it and know that everybody is included in this divine emanation of the One, we will end all violence. How fabulous would that be if we could end all violence? You know, gang violence, violence in our homes, all violence. You know, when COVID-19 is over, we want to be the kind of people that have no worry in our life. And if everybody embodied this spiritual truth, that we are all divine emanations of the One, we would have no worries. We'd be able to send our kids out to play. You know, when I was a kid, we were sent out to play in the morning, and in the summer, our mother would say, come back at noon, there'll be a sandwich on the front porch, get your sandwich, go back out and play, I'll call you at 5 o'clock for dinner. She didn't want us in the house. And so we were free to run around and do whatever it is that we wanted to do. What a freedom that was for us. What a freedom it would be to be able to go camping in nature all alone, just because you want some solitude and you didn't fear who you might run into in your life. How great would it be if we were able to walk into a room and know that we were wanted all of the time? How great it would be if we were able to forgive our parents, even our parents who treated us not so great, who weren't so great at parenting. How great would it be if we ran into Jesus or Buddha or Ruth Bader Ginsberg and had the same respect for them that we have for all beings that we love? How great would that be? That is the freedom that's available to us. You and I have the power to change the whole entire world. We have the power if we would only begin to understand that we are also divine emanations of the One. And you know what? Those of us who are here on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever we are, we can begin to start a movement to remind people of who they really are, which is God in form. You know, I use that form, that phrase, divine emanation of the one, or God in form. I use it instead of the sons and daughters of God, because I want to keep us honest in our life. When we think of God as a heavenly parent, what we often hear, our subconscious hears, is the word parent. And many of us have been the sons and daughters of folks who were masquerading as anything but God in our life. The closest thing that they could come to in a Jesus moment was throwing over the kitchen table in a rage in our life. You and I, we don't have to be those masqueraders. You and I have everything we need right now to match our outsides with the inside truth that we are divine emanations of the one, and so is everybody else. Today's spiritual truth can be challenging, though, because for those of us who have allowed family or friends or clergy or teachers or media to tell us that we were less than, we have to remember that what other people think of us is none of our business. Stepping up to the spiritual principle, however, requires us to do this. It requires us to take 100% responsibility for our beliefs. Now that's different from taking 100% responsibility for our actions. Let me say it again. Taking 100% responsibility for your beliefs is different than taking 100% responsibility for your actions. When you take 100% responsibility for your actions, and you made a mistake, it usually involves buying flowers or sleeping on the couch or some other form of restitution. Because actions follow beliefs. Changing your life requires you to change your beliefs, and your new beliefs will bring on new actions. Can new beliefs change old actions? No. You gotta let them go. They're done. They're kaput. They're over. Let your old actions go. Let go of the last time that you let yourself down because you did something you swore you'd never do again. You can't change what you did. You did it. But you can change what folks in recovery call living amends. And that simply means living a better life. That's what we can change for old actions in our life. The power of the new belief is to keep us from repeating old mistakes over and over and over again, thinking we're going to get different results. Sounds good, doesn't it? But here's the drawback. When you accept 100% responsibility for your beliefs right now, your blame card gets revoked. It's over. You can't blame your parents, you can't blame Donald Trump, you can't blame your boss, you can't blame your kids, you can't blame your neighbors. Now I know some people, when I said Donald Trump, just turned off the Facebook. I'm sorry, but it's true. You can't blame COVID-19, you can't blame anything. When you take 100% responsibility for your beliefs, we accept 100% responsibility for our lives. And that means that we can't blame anybody for anything else anytime. Another word for the sum of our beliefs is consciousness. So let's break this word down so that we're all on the same page today, because consciousness means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. There are two types of consciousness that our founder Ernest Holmes talks about. There are two types of consciousness that we talk about in New Thought. The one is individualized consciousness. That's my own consciousness. It's what I've allowed in. The other is human race consciousness. Let's start with the first one, individualized consciousness. What's different between a thought and a belief? A thought does not get the keys to the belief house until it has withstood the test of time, the test of our lives in our lives. Anybody can force themselves to think thoughts of peace, and we should be doing just that. We should be thinking thoughts of peace. We should hold ourselves accountable every day to thinking thoughts of peace. And then, if we think thoughts of peace enough, when we have those moments of war in our families, those moments of war in our workplace, those moments of war with our dubious financial lives sometimes, those moments of war when we're warring with ourselves about how discomforting we have, the discomfort we have about our looks, when we can have peace in those moments, then we have a belief. You know, Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Buddhist teacher, teaches us having peace is easy in an ashram. Our work is to have peace in the green grass of earth. Our work is to have peace when they're in the middle of a traffic jam. Our work is to have peace when we're so bored with COVID-19, we want to not use the shelter-in-place guidelines that we have. Now, some preachers would tell us that moving thoughts into beliefs takes faith. I think it does take faith. But I think even more important than faith is persistence in our life. A lot of us read inspiring material every morning when we get up, and we're steeped in faith until the first contrary evidence starts marching in front of us. Oh, squirrel over here, going over here. We go with it. My boss is on a tear this morning. I better make myself small because my boss is on it. Maybe he won't or she won't notice me if I make myself small. It's not a bad strategy, but don't let it become a definition of who you are. You know, there are plenty of beat down people who are walking around with a belief system that they are not enough, a belief system that is a reaction to somebody else's picture of them. Husbands do it, wives do it, aging parents of adult children do it, but God never does it. God never does it. And that's who you are. You are a divine emanation of the One. You are a representation of God on the planet. Persistence is critical for your spiritual success. If I were in a different kind of church, I might say it this way. The devil is waiting in wait, lying in wait, for you to take a pause in your faith. Now, I'm not going to let you get off that easy. There's no external devil who's lying in wait, but there is plenty of your own personal history that is lying in wait for you to take a pause in your conviction in life. And when you take that pause in conviction and go back to the negative things you've been told in your history, you have taken a pause, and fears like nobody else will rise up in you. Any thought you had of coming up that says anything, that you are anything less than whole, perfect, and complete, anything less, any thought, any belief less than you are a divine emanation of the One is worth looking at, but it's never worth believing. First thing we have to do is to determine who that thought belongs to. Does it belong to you, or does it belong to, you just got this kind of sleepy mouthpiece for somebody else's language, for some other person's image of you? What other people think of you is none of your business. What other people think of you is none of your business. Now, that phrase sold a lot of books, and I'm hoping that phrase will get imprinted into your heart and into your mind so that you begin to define yourself with your dreams. The second question we need to ask ourselves in order to embody today's spiritual principle that you are a divine emanation of One and so is everybody else, is to ask yourself what you've allowed to attach to you right now that you might be ready to let go of. See, poor self-esteem was learned and it can be unlearned. Procrastination was learned and it can be unlearned. Gossiping was learned and it can be unlearned. Hopelessness was learned and it can be unlearned. Using drugs and alcohol and food and the internet to make yourself feel better is learned and it can be unlearned in your life. The fastest way to unlearn a behavior is to stop making it part of who you are. Replace that definition with today's spiritual truth. Because that definition is not true. It's conditional. It changes. Spiritual truth never changes. You are a divine emanation of One, and so is everybody else, all of the time. Quantum physicists tell us that today we can measure a person's vibration. And the consciousness of high vibrating people is a consciousness that will save other people also. People who wander around with serious negative self-images and serious depression that's untreated, and serious narcissism that's untreated. I happen to believe that we have somebody high in government that has a disease of seriously untreated narcissism right now. And what happens is they become afraid of anything unlike them that moves. If you wonder how we got racism, we got it because people didn't understand today's spiritual truth. You wonder how we understand how we got transphobia? We got it because people don't understand today's spiritual principle. You want to know how we got ageism? We got it because people don't understand today's spiritual principle. If you are breathing on this planet, you are a divine emanation of the One. Most of us have spent some time in that kind of misunderstanding. It's bad enough when one of us has that kind of misunderstanding, that not everybody is a divine emanation of One. It's bad enough when one of us has that, but when a whole society gets it, and a whole society has poor self-esteem, then we begin to touch and agree on limitations in this life. Ernest Holmes calls the sum of all our beliefs from the beginning of time to the end of time, all beliefs from the beginning of time to the end of time, he calls that human race consciousness. Sometimes we call it shared values, but they're not shared values that we aspire to. They're not shared values that people who understand today's spiritual principle have. Thank God, over the years, we've changed. We're, we've got new beliefs. We used to think the world was flat. We don't think it's flat anymore. We used to think bell-bottoms were a good idea. We don't think bell-bottoms are a good idea anymore. We think women couldn't be fighter pilots. Today we have over 650 women in the military who are actually fighter pilots in our life. We're changing our beliefs, and when beliefs change, actions change. We've improved some areas of racism. The number of black college professors between 1970 and 1990 has doubled. The number of black physicians between that same time has tripled. The number of black engineers between 1970 and 1990 has quadrupled. And now the number of attorneys during that time has grown over sixfold in our life. Now, lest we think we're in a post-racial world, we want to remember that the unemployment rate for African Americans is still 2 times that of white Americans. In the state of Milwaukee, during this time of COVID, African Americans comprise of 27% of the population and 81% of the deaths. That's not public health, that's racism when that happens in our life. Our work is, as spiritual beings on this planet, is not to think outside the box. It's to knock that box down. We live in an unlimited universe. And when we start living that, when we start understanding that, the world will change at an even more alarming rate than it's changing right now. We need to refuse to put anyone above or below us. We don't have to be best friends with them. We don't have to agree with them. We certainly don't have to vote for them. We don't have to accept every point of view. But we do need to respect everybody for being a divine emanation of the One. Let's be ground zero. Let's be the bottom of the human race consciousness to allow people to vibrate at a higher level than it did yesterday. Choose something today. Because we can talk about what other people should do, but every one of us have something we can do to not only raise our own vibration, but when we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. Today, this is your homework. Because if you're visiting today, we have homework every Sunday. If you're visiting today, find somebody you feel superior to. Think of somebody you feel superior to. Now, if you're a person who's going to resist that, I don't feel superior to anybody. No, that's a lie. You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. You feel superior to other people. When we've all fallen into that tap, some of us feel intolerantly superior to evangelical Christians. Some of us feel intolerantly feel superior to people who've locked up in jail because they hurt little children. We think we're better than them. Maybe we think we're better than people in the military. Maybe we think we're better than people who have been drug addicted and can't get out of it. Maybe we were drug addicted and we got out of it, and now we're feeling superior to the people who can't kind of climb out of that monkey on their back. We all have somebody. Just before you fall asleep tonight, remind yourself that you are a divine emanation of the One, and that every being is a divine emanation of the One. That's a prayer. That's a prayer. Every night, just going to bed and thinking and saying, I am a divine emanation of the One, and so is everyone else. That's the only prayer you need right now. Pray that prayer every night for a week until we see each other next Sunday. And I promise you, as a result of all of us doing that, the vibration on this planet will begin to quicken. So let's take this message into prayer. There's only one power on the planet. It's the power of Great Spirit, Allah, Elohim, the sacred grandmother tree, that one infinite intelligence that designed this planet, that designed this ever-correcting planet, designed these ever-correcting human beings. I give thanks for that presence in my life. I release this word into the prayer, into the law. Together we say, and so it is.